Rated T for teen.
My career has been a fight, a long, brutal, but necessary fight. I was told no more times than I can count, and every single time, I proved them wrong. WWE 2K26, pre-order now.
Hello, everyone. This is a WWE and Fanatics original production. Get your shovels out. We're going 6 feet under with the legendary Michael P.S. Hayes. My friend.
Hey,
Dude, you don't call me anymore.
well, because I can't book you anymore.
Is that is that it? Okay, well,
That's pretty much it.
that's pretty much it. My usefulness is gone. My goodness.
I think you still have one more match.
I
in
do
you.
not.
I think you do.
I do not.
I think your heart does.
My heart and my brain are one thing. My body has put the
Quietus on.
yes, it has put the big shutdown on. Yeah, no, I believe me. If physically I could, I would definitely. But yeah,
I get it.
I just again, my mind's eye, what my mind and my heart see,
Yeah.
my body just won't deliver. So yeah, I guess after this, and you won't be calling me at all then, right? There's no hope left.
I text you once in a while. I text you about Percy's float. At
Yeah.
The,
Oh, my
Inca
gosh.
Parade Mobile. You were right too. He'd still be telling us.
Oh
about
my
it.
gosh. And he'd had that picture blown up. So there's a Mardi Gras is it
Yeah,
called Mardi
it's
Gras?
Mardi Gras.
In Mobile?
All those cities along the Gulf Coast there have their own little version of Mardi Gras.
Yeah. And Paul always,
Mobile, Pensacola, Biloxi.
yeah. And Paul always talked about the Mobile one and how he was the big poobah of
Yeah, he finagled himself in there.
Yeah, he did. And you sent me a picture, and Road Dogg ended up sending me a picture as well.
Oh, okay.
Of a gigantic Paul Bear float, which, I mean, my gosh, how tickled would he have been?
Oh, man, just off the chain.
Yeah, it's crazy because he would have blown that picture up and told us about he was the Grand Marshal of. He was proud of Mobile, man.
He was. He had worked his way in with the people that were the upper echelon there when it came to anything about Mobile.
Yeah.
I think he went to their minor league baseball club stadium a bunch and
Did he?
did some
Yeah.
stuff with them. But
Y'all broke in pretty much around the same time.
we did. Now I started in '77. If you just want to start wrestling and refereeing,
Right.
I probably started putting up the ring a year or so before that when I was 16.
Right.
But I was already pigeonholed as like the local kid, and I was pigeonholed as I wasn't a great referee. I was a pretty good enhancement guy on TV, and that was going to be about it.
Right.
And luckily enough, George Calkin had broken away from Bill Watts and was running what we called then opposition to Watts in Mississippi, because that's where George Calkin was from and a politician. And I started getting booked over there with Frankie Kane, and that's where I first met Percy. And then we started trading rides together because, I was coming from Pensacola, and you had to go through Mobile. So that way we could split it up. Now, most of the time we took his car because it was a lot better than mine. I would drive him nuts. There'd be 300-mile trips where he wouldn't say anything to me.
And so that never changed. that absolutely never changed. The whole time that we traveled together, which was pretty much nonstop from 91 to 96. That's when Mick turned on
Yeah,
me, right?
yeah,
Or
96.
He turned on me, the betrayal and all that. So all those trips we made together. And if one thing got out of whack, like if we said we were leaving at 10 o'clock to go to the next town, and I rolled out of my room at 10:30, it was going to be a quiet flight. It was going to be a quiet ride down the road. Oh my God. He would get blowed up like a puffer fish, man.
And wouldn't talk to you. You'd ask him a question? Nothing.
Nothing. I remember once, and this was later on when Mark Canterbury came in as Hog, right?
Yeah.
And we were working in Pittsburgh, and we used to stay out in what was it, Moon Beaver?
Yeah, Moon out there, Bear Road.
Yeah.
There was a Hojo's out there.
Yeah. So that was, Paul was a creature of habit. Like when we went to Pittsburgh, there was a Chinese restaurant that he wanted to eat at. And we'd always eat at that Chinese restaurant. After we'd check into the hotel, we'd go eat. I mean, it was just like every time, boom, boom, boom. In every city, we had our routine. So somehow or another, Canterbury gets he gets without a ride, and he asked me if I could jump in. Yeah, and I didn't. I was, yeah, man, just jump in with us. So I didn't tell Paul one that he was jumping in. So he was already a little huffy that I didn't let him know that somebody was jumping in the car with us. So we're riding, and we're gonna go eat, right? And I knew Paul was already a little bit huffy, and I was like, "Hey, Mark," I said, "You hungry?" And he goes, "Oh man, I could eat. And I said, "What are you hungry for?" And we just happened. I think we were driving by. We were driving by like a KFC or something like that. And he goes, "Man, hey, let's get some chicken." I was like, "Sounds great." You could see Paul was a pretty pale guy too. You could see him flushing. Like he got so pissed that his head was turning red. And he was just like, and then I was like, oh, Paul, you want to eat Chinese, right? And he's like, no. I want chicken. I want to eat chicken. All I want is chicken. He didn't speak to me after that. After that little outburst there, I bet he didn't speak to me till the next afternoon, other than what we had to do at the building. But oh man, he wasn't afraid to get blowed up, man.
One time we were on the road and we were coming back from northern Mississippi, and we were coming through Hattiesburg, and we stopped. We couldn't decide whether we wanted to get something at the Waffle House or at the Crystals. And we pulled into both places, arguing about having the other place.
Right.
And as we're pulling back out of the Waffle House to go back down to the Crystal, there was these trucks. You know how they park along the side of the highway? Well, they take away your vision. And he pulled out, and a car hit us full speed. And we were he had a brand new Mustang, and this guy was in a Jeep, and the Jeep flipped over and all this. And the car stopped, and you're always shocked in something like that. I could not believe it. He popped out of that car, ran over to the other guy's car. The Jeep's on the side, pops the door open, and helps get the guy out. But he had EMT experience, and it went right in, like full blast.
He just kicked in full on.
Just kicked in, man. And I was like, I never knew he had that in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he already have his degree and all that by then?
Yes, his mortician.
Yeah, mortuary science, I think is what it's called. That's what you have to have it.
He had that. But I think the time I made him the maddest was, with good reason. I was coming from Pensacola, and just to give you an example, the car I was driving, my first car, cost me $250.
That's a lot of money back in the 50s.
Yeah, in 77, it's a lot of
77.
Yeah, but still, I get a flat tire about 30 miles outside of Mobile in Loxley, Alabama, and I pull over and I call him up and I say, I don't have a jack and I don't have a spare. Can you come pick me up from here, and we'll figure out what I do with my car when we come back off the tour. And he just hung up the phone, which let me know he was coming. He never said he was coming, right?
True Paul Fair.
When he pulled up where I was and saw that I was at a truck stop,
well,
as I said, with good reason. silence is golden for 330 miles to Greenwood, Mississippi.
He drove. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was mad, and he had every right to be.
Yeah, I think he did on
I
that
mean,
one, man.
A lot of options at a truck stop to
Wow.
get your tire changed.
Holy hell. Yeah, that would have been. Ooh, no, it'd probably been loud because I'd have been cussing probably for a lot of that, man.
It wasn't a rib. It never crossed my mind that I was at a truck stop and could have got help.
Well, I don't know.
But I was a free bird at an early age, so there may have been things altering my decision making.
You think? Really? This episode is brought to you by WWE 2K26. Every legend leaves a mark. In WWE 2K26, you carve your own legacy. This year, the show never stops. Your will is law. You are the ultimate decision maker, and you command the largest roster in franchise history. Over 400 souls, from the rebellious Attitude Era to the superstars of today. In WWE 2K26, you can bring the chaos to the squared circle with new match types like I Quit Match, 3 Stages of Hell, and the Inferno Match. Stack tables, break the rules. Your legacy is eternal. With the WWE Draft arriving in Universe mode, you control every destiny. You run the shows, you settle the rivalries, and you decide the final outcome. Pre-order WWE 2K26, King of Kings, Attitude Era, or Monday Night War editions to get up to 7 days early access starting March 6th. When did the Freebird start? How did that get going?
Well, funny enough, I had thought about the Freebird thing for myself as the fabulous Florida Freebird when I was just starting to put up the ring. And one of the reasons, or the main reasons why, is like I was putting up the ring and I'd see a lot of the same people at the wrestling matches that I would see at the concerts I would go to. And I knew that there was a marriage. But I knew that they weren't shooting for the young demographic. Back in the territory days, they were happy with what they had. If the place popped, fine.
Right.
As long as it popped under their rules and the way they envisioned the business. And they didn't envision marketing to a younger crowd and having that rollover, because if they like it, then they'll teach their kids to like it, and they'll teach their kids, yada, yada, yada. So then I thought about music, and I love Skynyrd. I love the song Freebird. And I thought that would work. Then when I met Terry, right away I changed my objectives to a certain degree, because I said, well, I got to hitch my ass up to his wagon, because I felt that I would make it, but wherever I was going to make it, however I was going to make it, it'd happen a lot quicker if I had Terry Gordy with me.
Right.
And so then it became the fabulous Freebirds. Now it took.
How did y'all meet? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How did you and Terry meet?
We met because I was, as I said, Mississippi was running opposition to Watts, so I got booked over there as a job guy, and I was with Eddie Sullivan and Rip Tyler. There was like a little group that would come from Pensacola to go over and work the Mississippi place, and somebody didn't show up. So Frankie Kane booked me to be somebody's partner and to do an interview on TV, because we do interviews after the show at the local TV station. And I hit it pretty good for a babyface, young teenager promo. And they just kept bringing me back, and Frankie liked me. So I met Terry at the TV tapings. We hit it right off because we're 2 teenagers in a man's world.
Right.
We're the only 2 that's got anything in common, because everybody else there was in the twilight of their career and, on their way out. And we just hit it off. And it took me forever to talk Frankie into letting me turn Terry heel, because he was the prodigy. He was the prodigal son that he built, a 16-year-old good old farm boy, country babyface champion. And it had played out for about 2 years. And, I said, let me turn him heel and we'll just start drawing you money. And we did. And then I had a discrepancy over a payoff, and they threw my punk card down and said, well, you don't like it, you can leave. All right, I'm going to leave. So I went out to the car and I sat there for like 45 minutes trying to figure out, what are you going to do? Should you have done that? Should you have not done that? No, you had to do that. Terry finally comes out, closes the door. It's his car. He goes, well, where are we going, Michael? I said, what do you mean? I never thought he'd quit.
Right.
Because he had a baby on the way and he had a nice little guarantee at that time.
Oh, wow.
He said, if I told them they don't want you, they ain't got me. Let's go.
Wow.
And that was it. Then it took me another 6 months while we were in Goulas to talk him into using Freebird, the name. Oh, I don't know about rock and roll and wrestling, Michael. I said, well, Terry, what do we do on the way to the show? We get a six-pack. We burn a couple. We listen to Live from the Road from Skidder all the way down. Why wouldn't we do that? I just don't think music has a place in wrestling. I said, well, you watch. And once I finally got him to admit, he was all in.
Right. So what? So when did the music? Because you are and the Freebirds are the first one that I actually remember anyone using music.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gorgeous George used it, Pomp and Circumstance before Randy Savage did. Jerry Lawler used it for big shows, and some people would occasionally. We were the first to ever do it as a full-time gig.
Right.
And we tried to do it for Nick Goulas, had a meeting with him, and long story short, he just didn't get it because I asked him, when you rent the building, do you get the sound system and the spotlights that all come in your, your package? Yeah, they do, boy. Why? I said, well, I'd like to use them to do this and play this song. And he just looked at Tom Ernesto and said, they're on them marijuana pills.
Marijuana pills?
Yeah, in 78.
Okay.
And I said, no, we smoke it. I said, but if you ever find them pills, please give me a call. It was Jerry Jarrett that went for it. And so we did it first there. And it was the first night against Lawler and Dundee. Mm-hmm. Did a little angle with them on TV. We didn't play it on TV. I was so happy to get it played live event. I never, ever thought about TV. Mm-hmm. We didn't work out there. And I think that this was all God sent. You look back when you get older, you see.
You see the steps.
You go, oh, my God, this was supposed to happen.
Right.
But we went to Watts, and when we showed up for Watts' TV, he goes, you got that record? I said, yes, sir. Well, let me have it. I said, okay. I said, what are you going to do with it? He said, I'm going to put it on a cart, and we're going to play it when you go to the ring. You're going to put it on TV in front of everybody? I felt so stupid at the time that I'd never thought, because I thought I knew everything, and still do. But yeah, that was eye opening to see the bigger picture.
And where was, because I still remember you coming out strutting to that song. It was in it was for Watts, right?
Well. On TV, the first time we used Freebird was for Watts. The first time we did it in a house show, live event, was in Memphis. But then we, from Watts on, then we went to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and that's where we finally got to do the idea about, hey, listen, don't put us coming out the bad guy door or the good guy door. Mm-hmm. Let us have our own dressing room. Hit it with a spotlight when this part of the song hits. And we did that. Our first night there, they put the titles on us. We're in a triple threat before there were triple threats. First night in against Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2 and the Assassins.
Oh, wow.
Who hated the gimmick. They hated everything. And when everybody hated everything, it was easy to really hate Michael. Yeah. Because he was the prick. Terry was good. Yeah. He was a good old boy.
Right.
Buddy was nasty, so everybody just...
When did Buddy come on now?
Buddy came on. Watts brought him on about halfway through our first run. And Buck Robley was sick of working with us, especially me, because I wasn't good. But Bill knew there was heat there, and maybe put Michael on the floor would be better to build to a big, blow-off match. Mm-hmm. And that's where Buddy was working there as a single, and they put him with us so he could teach Terry tag team wrestling and preserve the heat on me. And we weren't crazy about this idea at first. But Buddy ended up winning us over because at first we thought he was a stooge. We thought, you just climbed in on our gimmick, back in the
old school mentality.
Old school mentality. But thank God he did, because he extended our careers. You couldn't beat Michael because the heat. He damn sure can't beat Gordy because
Right.
he's the hoss.
Right.
But Buddy could lose every time
Yeah.
because he was the greatest heel in the fact to me because he never gave you the satisfaction of being defeated. You know, he never was like, all right, you got me. He always come up bitching about something.
Right.
You know, you never beat his spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lost art.
It is a lost art. Yes.
A lot of things are a lost art.
Yes. Well, yeah. we'll probably get into some of those, but so that's what? That's
1980.
80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had the big run. We did the angle with Junkyard Dog. And let me tell you something. When they turned Dog heel, the place exploded. Even before we did our angle, just the fact that he was a babyface, because I think the first time around he worked with Gino Hernandez, and Western Louisiana got Houston TV, so Gino was a bigger deal there.
Right.
New Orleans and stuff, they didn't know him as well, but he was a good first opponent for Dog. But I mean, like the house doubled, and it was like, wow, got something here.
Right.
But Robley, from Bill Watts' perspective and his story, wanted to trade me and Terry to Florida for Brian St. John and Stan Lane. And Watts wouldn't let it happen
Well,
because he didn't like working with us.
right.
So, which I never got that. I knew that Buck thought I was the shits, but I mean, I never got like, God hates you so much, I just want to get you out of the territory.
Right.
And glad he didn't. What an experience that was.
This message is sponsored by Raycon. With the Super Bowl and the Winter Olympics this month, there's no better time to get inspired, push harder, and upgrade your workout routine. I've been using Raycon's Essential Open Earbuds, and they've completely changed how I work out. Regular earbuds block out everything. You can't hear someone calling your name, a car honking, anything. These Raycon Open Earbuds sit just outside your ear canal, so you can really get a clear sound, but you can actually hear what's happening around you too. That awareness is perfect for tackling your fitness resolutions safely. They're really light, and the ear hook part rotates, so they actually stay in. I've worn them at the gym, on walks, doing stuff around the house. They don't fall out, and they don't get uncomfortable. With 36 hours of battery life, I charge them maybe once a week. Honestly, they just become part of my daily routine. And right now is the perfect time to grab them because they're 15% off. The Essential Open Earbuds are here to help you go for gold. Go to buyraycon.com/6feetopen to get 15% off. Thanks, Raycon, for sponsoring. Your hair, you went, how long was it when you went with the blonde? Was that early on?
Oh, yeah. When I first started wrestling, a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, Mike Leonard, his mother did hair, and I wanted to go after the Farrah Fawcett look because I thought nobody's really doing anything with their hair, and I had a decent head of hair at the time. But I stole my look with the beard and the dark beard, light hair, pretty much from Jimmy Valiant. Mm-hmm. I saw him because we did our TV in Greenwood, Mississippi, which is about 100 miles south of Memphis. So Memphis TV would come in there, and they did a vignette with him going in this black club, and they did this song Jimmy Hart had made for him, and he had that look, and that's it. Mm-hmm. At the time, I didn't have a beard. I was probably 18 years old.
Right.
But I just thought it was such a unique look from the typical just bleach blonde and bleach blonde beard. But the funny thing is, too, I also took some of that look from, I don't know if you'll remember this, there was a group called Black Oak, Arkansas, and their lead singer was named Jim Dandy.
Jim Dandy.
Yeah, Jim Dandy to the rescue.
Okay.
But anyway, he had the long blonde hair and the pants with fur coming up to the knees, and so I took a little bit. I stole from everybody.
It's borrowing.
Borrowing.
Yeah, we borrow.
Yeah. Improving.
Good. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You can call it improving.
Improving.
Yeah, man. Was Dallas the biggest with the Von Erichs? Do you think that was the pinnacle of the Freebird?
I think it was. I only went out there for one shot.
That didn't work. That didn't work out, did it?
Gary Hart always said he was coming in and out with Kabuki, and we hit it off right away. And he was like, "If you ever come to Dallas, I'd love to have you, and come do one of our Star Wars." And I always blew it off because nobody was ever saying, "Oh, screw this place, I'm going to Dallas."
Right.
I'm gonna go make my money in Dallas, because it was pretty much the graveyard for people on the twilight of their career, and everybody, because I remember hearing the stories, everybody was always making fun of Fritz for pushing his kids.
Right.
It's a very smart move. I didn't even understand the territory system, and you have to be able to trust who you're pushing, because you don't want to give away your territory.
Right.
This person or persons can hold you over a barrel, and you can, if you don't trust who's on top. And, it just, kept evolving. But so I finally got fired or quit with Ole. We always got in arguments. And so nobody was calling me like they usually would when this would take place.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched the TV, and they did this angle, said I had a broken leg. So everybody thought the angle was a shoot. So I called Gary and I said, "Hey, I do have some free time." He booked me. I went to San Antonio remember the old Hemisphere Arena?
Mm-hmm.
They had a hell of a house, $50,000 house back in that day.
Which is huge.
This is 82. It's huge.
Huge.
And when I saw that, I called Terry that night. I said, "You need to give your notice in Georgia. Come out here. We're going to be friends with these Von Erichs for a couple months, turn on them, and print money." And that's kind of
what happened, didn't it?
Yeah. But, I learned real quick that Texas is its own country, or thinks it is, at least.
Yeah. We could be.
Yeah, you could be. I mean, easily. But the rules were different, and I learned that right away. But they love them Von Erich boys.
It was crazy.
I mean, loved them. They went to Six Flags one time in Grapevine, and they had to close the park because they were just getting mobbed, and it was just becoming dangerous.
Yeah.
And we were blessed to work with great baby faces. We got to work with Dog, Over, got to work with Tommy Rich, Ted DiBiase in Georgia. Tommy was over. I mean, and he'll tell
Come
you
on,
about it.
baby.
Yeah. No, he was.
No, he
was
was
over. And you know why he was over? Because he could sell.
He could sell. He
That's
could bleed.
the key. He could sell and bleed.
Yep.
Sign me up.
Yeah, man.
But but working with the Von Erichs was a challenge, but it was really worth it. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, at the time though, did you even know that it was a challenge?
Not really. I always worked stiff because I felt I had to, because the gimmick I was doing was to get beat up. That was the end result.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how can I make that mean more for me getting beat up? Well, let me just beat you up through nefarious ways. Usually for us, Terry or Buddy stops you, because I couldn't. Mm-hmm. But once they stopped you, then I could get in there and whoop your ass.
Yeah.
Simple formula.
Great story, though.
Yeah, simple formula. But as it was evolving, it just, one thing just led to another, and it just kept growing and growing. And then David died.
Yeah.
And then it started to change. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tragic story. That
I stayed in David's room the next time I went to Japan. The room he died in.
Did you really?
I had to. I had to. I remember, what was it, Joe Higuchi, I think, the referee over there. He kept questioning me. You want to stay? I said, yes, I would like to stay. He died here. I know, Joe. That's why I want to stay here.
How much do you draw? Because obviously the business has changed
drastically.
Drastically. Do you feel like you can still draw, like, for creative now or producing matches now? Does it still work, some of the things that you were able to be successful doing back in the day?
It's kind of case by case basis. Sometimes you can use what used to work, because it's so old it's new.
Yeah, I
And
agree with that.
pretty much people haven't seen it. But for the most part, I think the answer would be no, because you don't have the same characters performing. They don't have the same mindset. You know, back when I started, and I don't have to tell you, you know, wrestling had shady ass characters.
Shady.
And that's putting it nicely.
That was, yes.
There were some really rough individuals. And when drugs started joining alcohol as the form of relieving yourself afterwards and letting your hair down, that made these shady sumbitches a lot more dangerous. And, but it also made them where they didn't care what happened. So they were willing to take all these risks.
Right.
And sometimes unnecessarily. But, today's athlete, we're so blessed because they're so much more intelligent. They don't make the same mistakes. You don't hear about people popping every week on drug tests.
Right.
And, you just don't hear them getting in bar fights. Back in our day, if you didn't get in a bar fight once a year, it's like,
What's wrong?
What happened to him?
Yeah, he's got soft, right?
Yeah. He's probably not going to draw anymore. Well, he didn't get in a bar fight this year. So I don't know that they could adapt to that mindset.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense. No, it really does. There was just a different kind of edginess to the guys.
Well, your heels were heels.
Yes.
Like,
because that's who they were.
That's who they were in real life.
Yeah.
They were assholes.
Yeah.
And, most of the talent today, that doesn't live inside them.
Right.
They're good people.
They are good
They are
people.
really good people, and we're very lucky to have good business people now that we put on top. Back in the day, I would dare to say maybe 15 to 20% of them would have made it back in that day.
Yeah.
Because
it wasn't a talent thing.
It wasn't a talent.
No,
it had nothing to do with their talent. It
No.
would have been a lifestyle, and
Yeah. Yeah. I doubt that there would be publicly traded companies and these big companies betting and investing in the guys that were running around back then. It wouldn't be probably the wisest business decision.
Not unless you're just really into criminals.
Well, yeah, I wish I could say you were kidding, but
No, I'm not.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a different area. It is. I wish there was some way to kind of combine the edginess of the old school with the professional athlete of today. It would be phenomenal.
It would.
Yeah.
But it's just not in their nature.
No, it's not. And
you couldn't get in the business if you didn't either develop that as part of your nature or you didn't come in with it.
right.
And also I was thinking about this on the way here. It used to be such an accomplishment just to get in and become a professional wrestler
Right.
because it was so mafiosa, right?
Yeah.
And if you dared to say anything, your health was definitely in question. Could be your life.
Yeah.
Could be your life. I don't see anybody going to the lengths to protect the business like that anymore because they don't need to. No. It's appreciated now for its art form. Back then, I'm used to being hated. Everybody hated me before I got in wrestling. One of the reasons why is because I loved professional wrestling and I wasn't scared to talk about it.
Right.
Now, that's that weird guy over by the smoking tree. He likes that wrestling, that fake shit.
Worked out all right for you though.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
How do you?
Speaking of working out, listen, you and Michelle just hang in there. One day you guys are going to make it. Okay? you just keep plugging away.
Well, we'll try, man. We put our nose to the grindstone every day, and we really put a lot of thought into this, and but no, we're doing all right. We're getting by.
Yeah.
Cold days, big goals, no time to cook. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. You can eat well without the planning or cooking. Factor is perfect for my February routine because they have quality, functional ingredients including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. There's no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. These are meals that fit your goals and schedule. Healthier eating, calorie management, and more protein. There's 100 rotating weekly meals with options like high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and ready-to-eat salads. Plus, the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery. Always fresh, never frozen, ready in about 2 minutes, no prep, no stress. I love that Factor gives me so many options, and I'm all about the Muscle Pro collection. Head to factormeals.com/Undertaker 50 off and use code Undertaker 50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. How long? So 70, you said 77?
Yeah. 77 would be when I first started refereeing. I was horrible. And I mean, horrible. And doing, like one taping, they were only hour shows back then.
Mm-hmm.
And one taping in the first half hour, I think I did a job for Mike York, the Alaskan, and got color and under a mask.
Nice.
And then in the second half hour, I came back as me and did a job for somebody else.
Wow. All right, man.
Yeah.
So you're a hell of a job guy.
And got paid. Yeah, it's a great job guy. And got paid the same amount of money.
There you go, man. Yeah. So I was going to why I asked you. So what, 45, how many, do the math.
I guess technically it'll be 50 years come 27.
50 years.
50 years.
How do you stay so motivated to be creative? And I mean, just going through from what we've already discussed, from where you start,
yeah,
to where the business is now, and you're still such a vital part of the industry. And obviously, I mean, you're a vital part of my career and my development and the matches we had. But how do you stay so motivated to be creative? Because you're the top dog producer.
Well, I think first and foremost is because I'm more in love with the business than I ever have been.
Really?
Yeah. And I realized a couple of years ago, like I started to talk about, that everything that I've done in my life has led me to where I'm at. And it wasn't me that was making those choices. It was God.
Right.
And when I finally got on board with that, well, if he wants this, then it's got to be good. And, I don't get a lot of the ideas I get by myself. I don't. I feel, I've said this before, I feel God loves wrestling because I get some ideas out of nowhere sometimes, or more importantly, I get a no. Which almost sounds like Vince.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was like, is
Yeah.
that God or is that Vince? I don't know which one that is.
But I guess the challenge of doing it and trying to keep the everything interesting is a major driving force for me. I think that's probably why I've been divorced twice, is because wrestling was number one.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally have come to realize that and admit that, and I don't know, I can't, sometimes now, I look back and I go, God, how hard could it have been on both of them to realize they weren't number one, they were number two.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't mean anything to me because it's worked fine for me because that's how I like life.
Right.
So I've really am trying to enjoy every moment more than I did. Now, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy moments.
Oh, you enjoyed your moments. Don't get fooled there. He enjoyed his moments.
But I'm trying to enjoy it in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm almost 17 months now without a drink.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's made a world of difference for me. I was worried at first that I would lose some of my creativity because a lot of it came when I was drinking or high or both.
I don't think a lot of people, not to cut you off, a lot of people don't understand how that driving down the road, having a few from town to town, are probably some of the greatest creative sessions.
They are. They were.
You're
I mean,
right.
like, you know, we would always analyze our match and what the upcoming promos would be. And you know, if it was a TV day, watching the thing back and where we could have improved. But yeah, it was a nonstop class of going over what you did and how it could be better and how you're going to make it better next time.
Right.
Now, that is not to, at least I'm not trying to degrade their commitment, today's athlete. Because I'll tell you what, every one of them during the pandemic, especially in 2020, that went out and performed with no people there, they got my attention and they got my approval. I saw Jimmy Uso tear his ACL 5 minutes into a ladder match in 2020 at the Performance Center and go another 25 minutes with no people.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, any wrestler from any organization back in that time that wrestled with no people, my hat's off to them.
Yeah.
Huge.
You know what I feel? I feel because of the effort that WWE made during the pandemic, when there was nobody in, no one was able to go and do anything. I think the effort that WWE did to produce television and content has a large part to do with how successful the product is now.
Yep.
Because I think the people really took time to appreciate not only the art, but the effort that it took for those shows to happen. And I think this is a continuation of the momentum that was created during COVID. I don't know.
Yeah. I totally see that point. But I mean, we know firsthand how much it hurts. You just get caught up in it and the adrenaline gets going, and then you're, on to the next town and having a couple libations and, whatever it takes to feel better or not feel as bad. But I just can't imagine how much that hurt with no people there. Mm-hmm. People are the most driving force to me of your adrenaline and your motivation when you're working. I mean, back in my day, and probably in the beginning of your days, you had no trainers.
Hmm.
You took an ace bandage, wrapped up your knee as tight as you could.
If you had a roll of tape, you were doing better than most.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and sometimes you did things or took some things to get you through. And, like back in the 80s, come on, it wasn't just say no, it was just say yes.
Right. It's culture, too.
Culture.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That takes balls to wrestle like that in front of no people.
No, it does, and it's it was amazing because obviously I've wrestled in non-COVID times. I've wrestled in houses with not a lot of people there.
Yeah,
it's tough, man. It's tough to be on the second end or the second day of a double shot, and you're sitting out there trying to get 1,500 people to get excited, and all you want to do is just be finished. And it's tough. I can't imagine. The screens must have been an incredible welcome. Like there's some faces here.
Yeah, they were, and I mean, and props to Vince and Kevin and Jason Robinson for developing that as quick as they did. I'll never forget when we did our last show in South Florida at the college there, and now we were going back to arenas and audiences, and Vince was walking up the ramp, and I said, "Boss, wait a second." And I got up the ramp and I said, "I just want to thank you for doing this. And he just looked at me and goes, Michael, I had no choice. And he storms off. I'm like, well, me.
He knew exactly what you meant.
He knew what I meant,
Yeah.
but he just couldn't take the compliment.
No, he can't.
He can't.
He never wanted to get emotional or
No,
yeah, and
he runs.
Yeah. That's exactly. I knew as soon as you said that exactly what he was doing. He was not going to get teary eyed and.
But I thought, well, it's just me and him right here, okay? And everybody had gone on break, and
Yeah.
not a chance.
WWE World returns to Las Vegas this April 16th through 20th, and it's the can't-miss destination during WrestleMania week. WWE World brings the WWE Universe closer than ever to the superstars, legends, and iconic moments that define WWE. With immersive exhibits, exclusive merchandise, and experiences you won't find anywhere else. See superstars like Drew McIntyre, Liv Morgan, Jey Uso, Dominic Mysterio, Tiffany Stratton, with even more appearances still to come. Tickets are on sale now at WWEWorld.com. Fans of our show can save 10% with promo code 6feet10. What year did you and I really start working together? What do you remember? Which Mania it was? I mean, we did obviously we did a lot of TVs and everything, but everything kind of goes by Manias, I think.
Yeah. I think we started right before you and Randy.
Yeah.
It was right around that time. Because I had done some of your matches, and I remember I did the one with Brock that was in California that ended up in the DQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some sentiment that you should have put him over instead of letting him kill you after. And we
Right.
went to the Hell in a Cell in Little Rock.
Right.
And I could tell that you were like resigned to the fact you were going to do what everybody wanted you to do, but it was like, I don't think I made that bad of a decision.
Right.
And for some reason, I took that opening and wrote the whole match out. And I remember sometimes I would give that to you and you'd take what you liked and you discard what you didn't. And that day you just went, yep, looks good to me. And I said, okay, he just wants to get through this one.
Yeah. And it actually turned out.
It turned out really good.
Yeah, it turned out really good once we got into it.
Yeah.
It was the broken hand and all the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
In Little Rock. Yeah.
And
That
when
turned
you
out to
had
be a really
Heyman by the tie pulling him in.
No, that actually really turned into a really good Hell in a Cell match.
It was.
But, yeah. What year was that? That was what,
203, 204,
yeah.
around that area, that time.
Yeah. And then we went all the way to
All the way to the end.
all the way to the end.
All the way to the end.
All the way to the end. Because you were there for the Boneyard too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was toward the end there, the last 4 or 5 years, for some reason, every year, Vince would be like, well, we're going to break the streak this year. Sir, can I ask you something? Yeah. Why? Why not? Nothing lasts forever. This could. And I'll remember the time that he wanted Edge to break the streak.
Yeah.
And I went to Edge and I said, hey, listen, just so you know, he's thinking about you breaking the streak. And you know Adam, he's a great friggin' guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But if he gets mad, he gets mad. He's got a temper. And he was like, he got mad. No way. I'm not doing that. You can tell him to go to hell. I will not break the streak. No. I said, I'm just the messenger, dude. But yeah, I don't know, because I don't know if he was mad because it was becoming bigger than anything else he'd put on the card for WrestleMania. It definitely got higher than any title match.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he just had that in mind. And it all took off with you and Sean. It was a nice little streak. It was going well. And then they booked you and Sean. And if you'll remember, we tried to start that thing up in San Antonio in the Royal Rumble when you eliminated Sean. Mm-hmm. And I remember that you guys wanted to go like about 10 to 15 minutes after it came down to you two.
Yeah.
And Vince was like, God, 2 baby faces. Who cares about that? and you guys tore the friggin' house down. And then, but then he wouldn't let it happen that year. So he went for it the next year. And I think it was like a throwaway at first. Maybe not a throwaway, but it's like
It wasn't supposed to be what it was.
It was never supposed to be what it was. And I remember that we got assignments. I think it was the first year that we got assignments to each story. And me and Dave Kapoor were assigned to that story. We had so much fun with it. And, you know, I'm sure you remember we're sitting there and we're doing the first rehearsal, ring rehearsal. And you're lacing your boots and you go, hey, P.S., when are we on? I thought, I don't really want to answer that right now before the rehearsal even starts. So I kind of blew you off. Yeah. You go, Michael, when are we on? You're on 5th. How many matches are after us? About 4 or 5 or 6. You stopped lacing your boots. You looked over at Sean. This just went to a new level. Then I don't think it was then, but you asked, well, how much time do we have? 30. Good luck with that.
No. It was no.
It was 25.
It was it was like in the 15,
Really?
20, and I was like, yeah, I can't get to the ring in 15 minutes.
But that match, it was just, and I know I got on you guys' nerves, you know, because you guys would say something, and I would think about it and try to step back and look at it in a different perspective. Hey, maybe that works even better this way. But it was art. I got lost in it.
Right.
And I knew the finish. And you really started rooting for Sean to break the streak.
Right.
And I knew the streak wasn't going to get broke, but every false finish. And what was funny, what was the big kick out where you had the exasperation on your face? Sean didn't even see that, did he?
No.
He didn't even know. And I mean, it just grew. And I'll never forget, you guys were about 25 in. And Jerry Briscoe is going apeshit because he's doing gorilla.
Right. He's doing
timing.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, Michael, how much longer they got? And Vince just comes over and goes, let him go. Vince said, let him go.
Let him go.
And you guys went another 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy. You could have gone longer.
Oh, it could have been. Yeah.
You really, I mean, that is the art that this business is, because everybody in the building, they come in, they want to believe that these two individuals, or 4, whatever it may be, really don't like each other. Everybody wants to see a good slobber knocker, knock down, throw out fight. And then we have to go to the trouble of suspending their disbelief to make them to believe that. And you guys, I don't think they ever thought you guys hated each other, but man, they thought Sean has a chance of doing this.
Yeah. No. Sean and I had such a storied history anyway. I mean, just I don't ever remember having a bad match with Sean, but all of our matches forever had always been just stellar.
Yes.
And then we end up both of us on the backside of our careers, and just they threw us together. Let's let them roll. Okay, well, we're going to disrespect them on the way too, and put them on 5th. Okay, like I don't think like Sean's mindset and my mindset. I don't understand what they thought would have changed. We were both such competitive and competitors that we weren't going to supposed to take that as an insult.
Yeah.
It was just like, are you kidding me? That may be the absolute best in-ring performer of all time, and I had a pretty fair career too.
It's still the greatest match WrestleMania history,
Wow,
in my view. And yes, I'm partial, and I'm proud to be partial. I've been able to produce a lot of good moments. I've been producing WrestleMania events since like early 2000s, but that one's that's the one. And like I said, I've had some, I've had Roman's matches for years, and he's one of the ones that has the old school
Yeah.
in him. He could have gone through a riot.
Yeah. He's got an edge to him.
He's got an edge to him,
It took a while.
It took it did take a while. He always wanted to be that tribal chief. He just wasn't allowed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he didn't know how to speak up for himself at the time. But he's doing okay.
He's doing all right for himself. I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you're again, all the matches the last, 15 years of my career, probably the 10.
Yeah.
Breaking the streak when he actually did pull the trigger on breaking the streak. I don't think you knew.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
We had gone back and forth.
he wavered the whole week.
Yeah.
And I had talked to him, and I felt at the time I had him, and okay, we're not breaking the streak. And then something happened. He was wavering earlier in the day, and I talked to him again. And then I was under the impression that you were going over.
Right.
And if you'll remember, we were at the practice ring, and you guys were in the turnbuckle or something. And I said, yeah, here's where I was thinking you could do this, this, and that, and that. And you had just had this look. And I looked at you, and you go, you don't know, do you? And I go, no, what? Brock's going over. And at that point, there was no more arguing. What were we? I think doors had already opened.
Yeah, it was late. It was late.
It was late decision. And at that point, it was like, well, okay. And on one hand, you go, well, if anybody was going to break it, Brock Lesnar. But he didn't need it.
Right.
He was a made man.
Right.
Somebody like Roman at that time in his career, or there were other people that it may have benefited more.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think it should have never been broken, and just gone down as just one of those things. And who knows, if it never was broken, you may still be making a yearly appearance.
No. I would have walked. I would have probably walked. If he hadn't broken, I would have probably walked a lot sooner than I did, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I knew, like, physically I wasn't where I should be from my personal, I think I would have had grace from the equity I'd built up through the years. I would have had grace with a lot of our audience, but like for me personally, I was just like, I was chasing the dragon. Like I was looking for that one match to go and hang my hat on and said, that's it, bang, like Sean, like Sean had, right? Like Sean had the perfect ending. He went to, those last two matches we had. Well, we'll forget about Saudi and that catastrophe.
I watched that about a year and a half ago, and I just laughed through the whole thing.
You can't help it. Like now you can't.
Now
it was very serious that day and that night. But now it's like I want to laugh. I need to laugh about something because it's such. Who has on their bingo card that Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kane, and Undertaker have a complete bomb of everything that could go wrong was going to go wrong, and it did. And it did.
It was snake bit.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, it wasn't easy to put together, if you recall. We were going back and forth on things. And I remember this was early into our trips to Saudi. Mm-hmm. And we were on a call with Vince, or at least I was on the call. Everybody else was there with him. And, I need something new. They want new stuff that we've never seen. I said, well, I don't think we've ever seen the Brothers of Destruction against DX. God, I love it. I said, good luck getting Sean to come out of retirement. I can do that. And he did.
He did it. I don't know how he did it.
I love Sean came back through Gorilla.
Oh, my gosh.
That's it. Never again.
It was so bad. I felt so bad. I felt worse. I felt worse for him. Even Paul, who had ripped his pec, I think, right, or bicep. What did he tear?
No, it was his pec.
It was his pec.
Because he was giving left-handed chops.
Yeah. So,
He ripped his pec on the Harley bump,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, right at the get-go. I mean, that happened right out of that was the first That was the first brick.
spot,
Yeah, that
almost.
was the first brick that fell. And then Kane, his mask falling off, and
And the wig.
oh gosh, it was so bad.
And that great moonsault.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He used to jump further. I had engaged for 15 years ago. Oh my gosh, but yeah, it's fun to watch now. But man, it was not a fun night.
Let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Boneyard match.
Mm-hmm.
You knew then it was time, didn't you?
It hit me during the filming of it. I think it was like 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
We were still out there, and I could feel my body starting to shut down, like even the adrenaline. Because I thought we were having when we were doing things, it was like this is clicking. This is good. But like when we'd have to relight or move things around, like I could feel my body, like the adrenaline the adrenaline always carried me through all my injuries.
Sure.
Like the eyes, the back, all of it. Like adrenaline just like, okay, it's time to go. Hit the adrenaline switch, and we get through it. And it was just like man, I was just like, I'm having a hard time moving. By the time we got to the end of it, and I felt bad because like AJ had a couple other things he wanted to do. And I was like, I don't know that I can physically, in my head, I'm not saying, I couldn't bring myself to say it out loud, but in my head, I'm going, I don't know that I can physically do that. And I sure is I'm not going to hurt, I'm going to do something that's going to hurt him or jeopardize that. But
Right.
yeah, it was probably 3, 4 in the morning. And I was like, man, this is it. this is, and that was it.
It turned out great.
No, I'm really happy, with it. Obviously I would have loved to have worked with AJ in a wrestling ring.
I'll bet.
I mean, I think maybe without COVID hitting and like if I'd have been able to train and do everything, I think maybe we could have, but it worked out the way it was supposed to. It was, it encapsulated my whole career, and I thought it was great.
If people would have seen what that place looked like before.
Oh, the day before?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because I remember pulling up with Trips and I was just like, oh my God, you got we can't, but he's seeing things.
Yeah.
Oh, we can do this. We can put the symbol up there. His mind is amazing.
Yeah, it had to have been for that one.
For that one, because what it turned into was spectacular.
Yeah.
In 24 hours.
When I rolled up on, I was like,
yeah. Are you kidding me?
I'm pretty sure there's a field somewhere closer than where I'm staying, because that was like 45, 50 minutes outside of Orlando. Like, I'm sure we could have found a field closer. This is nothing. And then, man, what they turned it into.
Yeah. Well, those people that lived there, they were props people for Disney too, so they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, no, man, it turned into an amazing.
It was
amazing
awesome.
shot, man, but it was. So you got a new protege now too, huh?
Bob Roode?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bad Mood Bobby Roode. He is doing really well.
Yeah.
If you remember, the first Hunter-Taker match in Atlanta at WrestleMania, we sat out there all day and couldn't find out what the story was.
We didn't have it. Doors were open and we didn't have it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it clicked. He can't put you away, and you end up winning. But he can't. But he stands, and you can't walk out. And
you remember who hated that?
oh, Vince, God dang,
God damn, my Undertaker walks out.
yeah. And then he got mad so then once he acquiesced to do that, then you can't get the card out of here, and it made us move Gorilla and do all this stuff. I remember following him in his dressing room, and I was like, okay, what's the problem? Why are you doing this to me on WrestleMania Day? We're going to do this. It's going to be great, and it was fantastic.
Right.
It was chapter 3 in a 4-chapter story. But man, we had nothing.
No, we had.
Well, you know what? We got hung up on that Sean had to be a part of it. And he did not want Sean a part of it, if you'll remember, because you had just retired Sean the year before.
Right.
And we wanted Sean to have a spot in there or something. And he was dead set against it. And you know what? He was probably right in hindsight.
Yeah.
Because bringing Sean back as the referee, which we didn't know at that time for the next chapter. But anyway, Trips comes back and he says to me, he says, you're our Pat Patterson. And that meant everything in the world to me.
Mm-hmm.
So he brings this back to me about 2-3 years ago, and he goes, so if you're my Pat Patterson, I need you to make him Michael.
He's talking about Bobby.
Talking about Bobby Roode. And I went, okay. All right, if that's what you want, that's what I'll do. And he's answered the call, man. He's one of the greatest things about Bobby is that he's never been afraid to jump in there and give his opinion and pretty much take on a leader role. Because I think all of us in some form or fashion, I know all of us need to be produced, but we all kind of look for a leader.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or a guidance,
Right.
if you will. And Bobby has stepped right in there and taken that role. I think if there's anything that Bobby needs to continue to learn, it's that if they tell you to do something, you figure out how to do it. You don't tell them why it can't work. You figure out how it can work.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that from Vince early on. Vince, I don't think that'll work because of this, and that. Michael, there's 1 million people out there can tell me why it wouldn't work. Tell me how it will work. And that's easier said than done, but
Sure.
That's the mindset because our business is so subjective. You can make anything work
Right.
if you really put your mind to it. We all get tunnel vision into what we want.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you can make it work.
Yeah. And that's why he had you in the role that you were in.
I think so. It took a while to get his confidence and his trust.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had some other.
I had
shit.
issues.
You had other, but I think your mind and what you brought to the table helped get past the other issues because he saw the value in what you brought to the product.
Oh, I owe everything to Vince.
Yeah.
You know, he should have fired me 3-4 times over.
I tried to get him to.
I know. Everybody
What the
did.
hell? Just kidding. I'm gonna leave that off here because I'm tired of putting it back on.
Okay. Yeah, you lost your cube.
I lost my cube, man.
God, dog.
I hate when I lose my cube.
Ah, that's a sign.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I know it's probably a kinder, gentler working atmosphere.
Like I said, I wouldn't have what I have today if he didn't stick with me and teach me. Most everything I've learned from him. You know, you got all these podcasters and
Easy.
all these.
Wait a minute. I don't really put myself in that group.
I don't either. I don't either. But you know, everybody's got an opinion, just like an asshole.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of those opinions are made, and I'm talking about fans as well, just based upon your thoughts and your feelings and what you like. They're not based really on business and the money's involved and where they go and what you do here and that. That's not where those opinions come from because nobody's got their money invested in it. So it doesn't. Right. It's not going to affect them from a financial standpoint.
Exactly.
I'll give you a perfect example. Me and the Eagles and their head coach, Nick Sirianni. Like, every time I see him on the sideline with a look like he doesn't know what's going on, I'm like, why is this guy a head coach? This guy knows 1,000,000 times more football than I do.
Right.
But I'm just making my opinions based on what I see and what I want.
Right.
I don't know what he knows about how to get this player to do this and what makes that player tick. And all that. And it's the same thing. People make their opinions based upon what they want, not what they know.
What they know. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the most understated statements around because that just, the amount of variables that go into every card, every booking, and it's funny. I'm just kind of learning all this stuff after all these years.
Yes, Mr. AAA.
Oh, well, hey, El Jefe. According to Bruce.
According to
Yeah,
Bruce.
that's what he calls me now, El Jefe.
El Jefe.
It's kind of growing on me.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to try it?
No.
No.
Trying to quit.
Man, I really appreciate you making some time for it. It's good to see you for one. Like you don't call me anymore. Like you used me up and got everything out of the sponge, and now I'm not any use to you. So I gotta bring you here to Texas and sit you down and have a conversation with you.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
I'm gonna let you out of here in just a second, Michael. But you made some statements here recently. It's got quite a bit of furor amongst the wrestling world, and that was your comments about Chelsea Green.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you put it? Like, her job is to get
Her job is to make the Tiffany's and the Charlottes. Now, I've talked to Netflix about this because when we did that interview, and I recall this specifically, that when we started the interview, the first thing I said was, Chelsea is as good or as talented and entertaining as anyone we have. But of course, that never saw the light of day. That was on the cutting room floor because if you're going to make me a heel, that's the best way to do it, to say she's not good enough. And that's not really what I was saying. I don't regret what I said because her role at the time I said that, and even right now, is not the top role. It is to help make other people. And as you know, we all know that we're only as good as the people that help make us.
right.
Now, with that said, if Chelsea caught fire because of this following and the support that she has, we'd go with that in a heartbeat. Look at Daniel Bryan. Look at Kofi Kingston. When they both caught fire,
Yeah.
we went with it. Whether some people up top agreed with that or not, they went with it because that's what the people wanted. We're not there right now with Chelsea. And quite frankly, I feel, just my opinion, that the people that support Chelsea now, if we started pushing her, would fade because she was getting the push from the machine. And if she's getting the push from the machine, then she doesn't need my help. Because intricately, I feel that the fan loves it when they know that their support makes a difference and can change a career. You take a look at NXT, especially back in the Full Sail days. Those people knew that their support had power because it could change or make the start of someone's career. It's still that way to an extent at the Performance Center. And you see people get behind people that the office isn't getting behind because they feel that they can make a difference. They can make a change. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants their opinion to be valuable. But that's also the lure and why. Now, Chelsea is amazingly talented and amazingly entertaining. She can handle anything. But that's the role she's in right now.
Not necessarily her fault.
No, not necessarily her fault, but to her credit, she knows her role and she does it and she plays it with a smile.
I'll just say, I'll put my 2 cents in. I think she's underutilized.
I agree.
I think she, without a doubt, with just a hair more mean streak, I think she could be. I could think she could be a top player. She has that thing, that it thing.
She does have the it factor.
She has the it factor, and I think there's a lot of great things coming for that young lady. I'm a big fan of hers.
I am too, believe it or not.
I mean, can't tell really. But hey, there's certain organizations around that know how to use her. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got to go south of the border. You got to go south of the border. Well, I'm just saying. No, I was just curious because that's got a lot of attention.
Yeah, it has, and it is what it is. I spoke what I felt to be the truth. All the truth I said was not out there. That's okay. I told you before. People have hated me since the beginning of time. And if you ask me a question, I'm going to try to tell you the truth. And that's the truth. And even with you saying that, I still fear that if we get behind her, it hurts a little bit of that rebel push that she now gets, or support.
It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got a segment we do
Okay.
on this show. We just started it. 2K26.
Okay.
I'm sorry you're not in it.
Yeah. You don't
But
care.
there's 400 other people that you could be. And a large part of our audience, they love to book and be matchmakers.
Sure.
Right? That's
Yeah.
part of the fantasy of the whole thing.
Jamie Noble still does that with action figures, by the way.
I didn't need to know that.
I know.
I really
it bothers me too.
I didn't need to know that about Jamie. But so I'd like to ask, so you can take 400 characters from the past, from the present, maybe even the future, and you're going to book your match. Who you got? And while you're thinking,
Okay.
free bird style, it could be any kind of match. Bull rope, it could be no DQ, cage. You get to pick your match, you pick your step.
And you need to know this today.
Yeah, I need to know right now.
Any place from anywhere. Wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
It is. I think I would like to see Taker and Andre in a Hell in a Cell.
Ooh.
And me not be the producer.
Where's your loyalty at? Oh, man. That's pretty good. That's actually one of mine. That would, yeah.
Really?
Oh, that's, of anybody
You never got to work with
I never
him.
got to work. His health was so bad.
Yeah.
By the time I got here, like we didn't get a chance
We
to
got
work.
to work with him a couple times.
Did you?
Yeah. First time I worked.
He fired you, did he?
He did not fire me.
He did fire you.
He did not
Your
fire
first
me.
day in the company, he did not fire
No.
you. That's the story.
I know that's a story. It's not true.
It's not true, really?
It's not true at all. It's
Oh,
not
do
even
tell.
close. We had already been here almost 2 weeks. For some reason, we were in Youngstown, Ohio, and I thought we were off.
I wonder why.
So I had probably somewhere between 6 and 9 beers. And I remember we pulled up to the high school, and Terry, I go, "What are we doing here?" Terry goes, "We're working." Working? I was in no condition. So we go in the dressing room. Andre's there, and he's playing his cards.
Playing cribbage, probably.
Half a gallon of wine there, half gone. Terry and Buddy are literally holding me up. Andre goes, "He drunk." And they, just like in a comedy show, they both go, "No, he's not." And they let me go. Boom. I end up going out that night, sobered up a little bit, tried to go over the top rope like I did. Toes hit the top rope, nose dive, all bad. But when we first went there, Terry never wanted to go. Okay. He was just falling in love with his second wife. And he really didn't want to leave Texas, but he really didn't care where we went. And really, Vince just wanted me for the record deal and to do the rock and wrestling thing. So it was on borrowed time to begin with. So anyway, we weren't quite making what we thought we should make. In Pittsburgh, Terry ends up sleeping on the grass outside in the Hojo's by the pool, and that was it. We're going home. And I even remember Andre walked by us in the Pittsburgh airport, and we all hid behind a column so he didn't see us, because that plane was going somewhere and we were going home. But what happened was I stooged myself off. Vince didn't even know. And I told Vince, "I'm sorry, I don't usually do that," and this and that. And then we were on our way to Japan, and that was already booked. they knew when we came in. And on the way to Japan, I called to see what was going on with Dave Wolf, and he goes, I don't think he's going to keep you because Terry wasn't going back. And well, Vince called me as soon as we left, and I didn't answer the phone for about a week. That didn't help.
Yeah, it doesn't usually help.
And then I did answer and agree to go back to some dates. Me and Buddy would finish out because that was the one thing about the Freebirds. As long as you had two, you could,
Right.
Freebirds were there. But on the way to Japan, George Scott got on the phone and said, he doesn't trust you. And I said, well, I told him I wouldn't do this again. I didn't get it.
Really?
Yeah, I
he
said
didn't,
I won't
he didn't
do
buy
it.
that at
Yeah.
all? That's
And
crazy.
he was like, because it was a big deal. We had a $250,000 record deal with Elektra Records. But I blew that. And I paid the price. And it took me 11 years to get back to even get a job here. And then it probably took me another 3 to 4 to gain his trust. But we were fired, not by Andre, and it wasn't until after we first walked out.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
That's a whole different story.
That's disappointing. I heard that he fired you all on the spot because you were all fucked up.
No,
Ah.
I don't remember it that way.
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. You don't remember it that way. All right. Well, I'm sticking with Andre firing your ass.
All right, that's fine. Either way, we were gone.
You were gone one way or
We
another,
were gone
right?
and on to something else.
Well, I mean, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Never.
All right. Hey, man. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I appreciate
Seriously,
you.
Thank you. I want you to know that I cherish our times together, especially back in the day, because we did a lot of good business.
We've made some magic, brother.
Man, I lost you one time. The Mark Henry match. It was the greatest build I'd ever seen. Especially Mark was nailing everything, but you were gone, so it was all promos and this and that. And the match started out great, and then Mark forgot something, and he got flustered, and he forgot the whole match. And I remember, oh my God, Taker's gonna be so mad, and you just casually came back, walked through the curtain. I thought, I'm gonna leave him alone. Then we never found you for like 20, 30 minutes. And you just, when you came back, you were okay.
You had to
were like,
decompress.
it just happened.
I could show my ass or I could go decompress somewhere.
Yeah, and you decompressed.
It's all good, brother.
That was good for him, though, because he kept growing after that.
Yes, he did.
He did. Mark was one of the few late bloomers.
Yes.
He got it. And when he got it, he really came along.
That's what his retirement promo was still one of the great
Oh, my God,
promos.
one of the greatest I've ever seen.
Yeah, one of the best hooks ever. Well, if it had been for that ugly coat he was wearing, I would have bought it. All right, Freebird. Thank you,
man.
brother.
Thank you.